Hi, we're back with a somewhat belated early concise highlight on Thursday, October 1st, 2015. And it is currently 9:15 a.m. U.S. Central Time, and the reason it's belated is we wanted to wait until after the U.S. ISM Manufacturing Index, which came in quite a bit weaker than expected, and overnight, based on some data, there was a real blow up in equity prices, followed by quite a sharp shift back to steady to lower on the day, as you can already see on the short-term charts in front of you. And we'll be getting into the whys and wherefores and how the price action looks from here momentarily. But first, we're going to take a look at the data. So, on the way into that U.S. Employment figure tomorrow on Friday, what does all this mean to the markets? And the answer is that we were up at 1928 on the S&P 500 overnight. That was temporarily on some of those stronger Asian PMIs before we saw China. It had only dipped back down to about 1912 to 15 after that, but once we saw the Challenger jobs figures and also the US ISM, you can see during the early part of the session today, it managed to slip down to the 1900 area. And, 1900 to 1895, for reasons that will be even more apparent on the intermediate term charts, are still the key area below the market, and that's even more so now because that would be the buffer below the late session up break at 1903. So, especially having already tested 1900 pretty much exactly this morning, if it gets below 1895 later today, this market could be rolling over to the downside. If it holds the 1900 area, chances are it can get back up to 1920 to 30. And the bigger resistance remains up in the 1950 area and higher. If it fails instead below 1895, it's got a clear buffer on the gap up from Wednesday when it held right back near the upper 1980s high from the initial bounce on Tuesday. This was on the U.S. consumer confidence figure, but the bigger support reverts back down to the 1866 level it neared on Monday's slide and that it tested vigorously on Tuesday before basing out for the Wednesday rally. And that pretty much does it for the U.S. S&P short-term view.